Welcome to Lesson 4 of MySci Unit 22, Using Our Resources Wisely. In the previous section, students learned about natural resources and how they are used to produce renewable and non-renewable energy. Lesson 4 is the first lesson of Section 2, in which students will learn about Earth systems. In this lesson, students will answer the question, what are the components of each Earth system and how do they interact? In this lesson, students figure out that Earth is one large system made of smaller parts. These parts include the hydrosphere, atmosphere, geosphere, and biosphere. Each of these parts interact with each other. In the engaged portion of this lesson, students will observe images of Earth's four spheres, the atmosphere, hydrosphere, geosphere, and biosphere. They will discuss in what ways these four spheres interact to create a system. In the Explore portion of this lesson, students will be assigned one of the four spheres to research using text and video resources. They will determine the meaning of the root word of their sphere and the components that are part of their sphere. In the Explain portion of this lesson, students will create a poster or presentation for the sphere they researched. They will refer to the sphere poster rubric to assess if they are meeting the criteria for their presentation. The criteria includes providing a photo or illustrated representation of their sphere that is accurately titled and labeled, and writing a description of the characteristics and components of the sphere. Students will conduct a gallery walk to obtain information about the air, atmosphere, water, hydrosphere, land, geosphere, and organisms, biosphere, on Earth. In the Elaborate portion of this lesson, students will place their posters on 4 different walls around the classroom, connecting them with string. They will read different interaction cards and determine which spheres are interacting based on the description. Students will use a clothespin to attach the interaction card between the interacting spheres. This activity can also be completed using a Google Presentation Interactive. When initially accessed, the presentation is view only. It is necessary to make a copy of the presentation in order for students to interact with it. For each interaction statement, students will decide which 2 spheres are interacting. They will drag the spheres' names to the correct boxes, identifying which sphere is the cause and which sphere is being impacted. For example, when a windstorm causes desert sand dunes to shift, the atmosphere is affecting the geosphere. Therefore, atmosphere should be dragged into the first box, and geosphere should be dragged into the third box. Next, students will discuss how the Earth is a large system that is made up of smaller systems, such as the hydrosphere, atmosphere, geosphere, and biosphere. Each part has its own structure and function, however they all interact. For example, when a volcano, which is part of the geosphere, spews steam and ash into the air, the atmosphere is affected. In the Evaluate portion of this lesson, students will complete a formative assessment. They will draw a picture or list the main components of each sphere in its corresponding box on their student journal page. Next, students will create new interactions and determine which spheres are affecting one another. Alternatively, students can be given interactions from the card set and determine which spheres are being affected. By the end of this lesson, students will have identified and described the main components of the 4 Earth systems, classified interactions between the Earth systems, and determined the cause and effect relationship occurring in each interaction.